Harris, Joe Fisher with you. Jordan Schultz on the ones and twos.
Let's go. I got a Ghost energy drink in me.
Ooh, baby.
200 milligrams caffeine just flowing through my body. I hope that will get me till just 9 because I really don't want to be up till 11:30 midnight like I always do. I would like to go to bed at a reasonable time.
I'll tell you what, Fish 3, it's great to see you.
It's good to see you too,
It's
man.
great to see
I mean,
you,
it's been too long. I've heard your voice plenty of times, and not with me, with Jason.
Oh, wow, you were like one of the 5 people listening? That's so sweet of you.
Yeah, I heard you guys last Friday, and I just can't believe that Suk was even in this studio last Friday.
I know, I got friends texting me.
Shocked.
I got friends texting me. They usually text me like, oh, dude, I heard you on primetime. That's so dope.
God forbid that he comes back from vacation and, takes one more day off. Apparently, there's no other warm body that could have been in the 2 chair, but I digress.
Yeah. Usually people say, oh, dude, I heard you on primetime. That's so dope. My neighbor, Steve, shout out Steve 1. He's always like, oh, I heard you on primetime. And
dude, you're big time
day,
now.
And that day, everybody was like, dude, why is Suk there? And I'm like, dude, can you just let me do a show with him, please?
That's supposed to be weird? I don't think that's weird. That's a good thing. You should be.
But I did miss you, Joe.
Those guys.
You're big timing us, man. No, honestly, good for you. You had been at the station too damn long for that to be your first time doing that. Well,
I've done prime time a lot, but yeah, the first time with Suk is a little
Jason.
it was a little funny. Right. A little funny. I've produced that show a bunch when
the pride of the coup.
When Voldemort died, they brought in a ringer and I produced that show for a while. But yeah, it's always nice. That's a good time of year. Don't worry, I am back to the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
And
despite March being the 9th year I will have been here.
More than 5 people were listening, dude. You guys did a great job, both y'all. I heard you together. I heard you separately. You guys did great. I mean, obviously, I worked with you, Patrick. I didn't you, Joe, unfortunately, because I had a couple days off myself, but you guys were awesome. It's great.
Well, Joe, you and I have been doing this for a while. I would like to think we kind of know each other a little bit.
A tad. Well, the fact that I didn't know that you were a Liverpool fan all these years also.
That is funny because that is that is my only Premier League team.
Maybe it's because when you and Soccer Mike started getting into all the soccer-y stuff, I just kind of... That's coming up soon, right?
We are not in the Champions League.
No? See, that's what I'm saying.
Not this year.
Once it starts getting to soccer-y stuff, I start to tune out.
Had a rough 2022, if I may say so.
But I told you, I'm trying to be more of a hooligan, man. I'm trying to tune into the Premier League. I watched the Liverpool-Man U match a couple weeks ago out on the golf course by myself.
So sorry. That was one of the most boring games I've seen.
It was
in a
brutal
while.
too. They had so many opportunities and they just could not put the net in the goal. Or the ball in the goal.
No,
See,
I liked what you did there.
I'm getting there.
No, I like the net in the goal.
Yes.
Yeah, that works.
I like that.
It's
like the basket in the bread.
I don't know any of the British terms. I got to listen to more Ray Hudson commentary.
Roy Hudson.
See, there you go.
Just keep saying pitch a lot and you'll sound like you know what you're talking about.
Gotta remember draw.
That was one of my favorite things before I even watched soccer was, I'm pretty sure it's Ray Hudson. I think I might have you on that one.
Yeah?
Yeah, Ray Hudson, commentator. Now, I believe, commentator for Inter Miami.
You are correct. Ray Hudson.
Thank you. Soccer Joe over here. There's a compilation video on YouTube of his best commentary. That dude has some of the best, one-liners and just monologues after someone scores or when they do something bad. He is just on point. And there's a video that I found on YouTube, from 14 years ago, that I remember when I watched at the time, and it's just me and my friends, we still use lines from that video to the day because he's a character, dude. So yes, Soccer Joe, official, now here.
Wow, coming out firing. I watched some La Liga today.
Wow.
Ooh.
It was not great. I watched the most boring 3-3 match I've ever seen in my life.
I can hear the channel changing and the YouTube channel changing as we speak right now.
Nobody's on YouTube, so it's okay.
I gotta
no
hit you up.
viewers yet.
I gotta hit you up, Patrick. Next time I see Bovada start doing these cross sport parlays recently, and there were a couple soccer teams included. So I gotta hit you up and get some knowledge next time.
I'll tell you what, it's wild. I play Fantasy Premier League, and they're betting is legal in everywhere but America.
Of course.
Thanks, Tim Donaghy. And I'll tell you what, betting European soccer
is a bad idea.
Is a really bad idea.
That's what I was wondering.
It's a really bad idea because a team that's great, that is playing a team that's average, you know, the line is like, you know, we think they'll win by 2.5 goals. And you're like, well, the hook, but, you know, okay, I'll take it. And then final score 0-0. And you're like, wow, I just lost money.
This is the one problem I have with soccer.
You can't push.
I've always had this problem with soccer. And I actually found out a recent statistic that proves my point. Do you know what the stat in soccer, XG?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's created goal opportunities.
So not goals, opportunities.
Opportunities.
It is this sport where the almost cool thing happens all the time.
Like where you could have shot on goal, but you didn't?
Oh, like you had an opportunity. It was, you know, near the goal in the box.
Like last weekend, Mo Salah scored 2 goals, but his XG was 2.75, which is the highest in the history of Premier League.
And Liverpool had like a 7.2, which is the same thing.
And we won 4-2.
But when I saw that, I was like, what the hell does XG mean? I looked up, I'm like, sure enough, they have a stat for almost cool things happening.
Dude.
Like that is the epitome of soccer is like, God, dude, if that would have gone in,
90 minutes,
really cool.
90 minutes of something not happening, dude. It happens.
But that's where the excitement and the passion comes through when the net goes in the goal.
That's why you freak out when the basket is in the bread.
Yes, and you see that come to life, and you wait for those moments, and when they happen, you see that passion, that hard work pay off. Scoring a goal in soccer, very hard.
Well, it's, you know, let's get real here for a moment. That was the downfall of Bex coming to America. Is that Bex was one of the best players in the world, one of the greatest players to ever play, probably top 20, top 25 players in David Beckham. But when he came to America, everybody expected him to
Why is this guy not scoring 12 goals a game?
Everybody was like, why are we not scoring goals? And it's like, well, it's really hard to score a goal.
Well, you know, I've been watching too much of Joey Fisher IV out on the pitch. You know,
little spoiled.
Yeah, I'm seeing, you know, him put 4 to 8 goals in a game. You know, it's, you know, when I see him do that and then I have to watch a Premier League game or Timbers game and it's 1-0, 2-1, or a draw 0-0, you know, I'm like, why can't you just be like my 10-year-old?
Was old Bex, though, really competing against elite level talent when he came over? Because at that time, the minimum salary in Major League Soccer was like $36,000. We did not have...
We got dentists out there.
Yeah. We did not have the best talent filling the rosters.
Very cheap dentists.
Bex was making A-Rod money.
No. I know Bex was, but you're saying, hey, it's hard to score a goal. Like,
no, but what I'm saying is
it
is. I mean, like, principles are principles, and there's a reason that the average goals scored per game is probably like 0.6, 0.75.
But he was competing against nobodies. I guess that's my point.
But the argument is that he has nobodies also on his team.
Fair, other than like what, Landon Donovan at the time. I think that was it. It was like him and Landon.
That guy out of here.
we're going back like 15 years to prime 2008 MLS soccer.
Very soccery to start.
Yeah, what the hell is going on?
I don't know. I did not expect the first segment of 2024 Hot Corner to go this way.
I can't believe of the three of us that I'm the one that's uncomfortable talking about soccer around you idiots.
I caught you off guard.
Like, let's go.
I caught you off guard today. I'm pretty sure. Like I said, I'm just trying to get locked because as Joey gets older, and you kind of see what leagues and sports your kid gravitates to.
Right.
So he loves NFL. He likes NBA. And I would say Premier League and soccer, that is right up there with those two. Doesn't really care about baseball. I was shocked at how little he knew about like college football and what was happening and who are the good teams and good players there. So as he starts to become more of a young gentleman, a young boy or a young man, he'll be 11 this year. He likes his Liverpool Reds.
My kid plays soccer, and I'll put it on right before we leave to go to his soccer match. And he's like, really, dude? Can we like watch Phineas and Ferb instead? I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
Trying to teach you something here, kid.
I definitely sure he would prefer Dude.
You know what? You're right.
Perfect.
You know what? You're right. Put on Phineas and Ferb and go make Daddy a cocktail.
Oh, I knew what cerveza meant at a very young age because of my dad.
Well, that's the famous Joe Fisher II.
Yeah,
legend in my book.
Yeah, it's already 7:13. God,
we can keep talking soccer, guys.
Wow.
Hot soccer talk here. We'll turn this into the soccer corner or the pitch. How about that?
The pitch?
The pitch.
It's not a bad name. I'm sure it's already taken for like a podcast.
Oh, there's like 700 shows called Game Day.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Or Sports Sunday.
I'll tell you what. When Voldemort and I started the Beers on Us podcast, R.I.P., That was a really fun thing we did for about 4 years.
You can
Shout
still
out.
listen to it.
You can still go.
Don't know how
download it.
relevant the content
Yeah,
is.
wherever you get your podcast, you can go download the Beers on Us with Mike Lynch. And
Half the
Patrick
breweries
Harris.
you interviewed are probably defunct now. Ouch.
I was
Hey, that's
looking.
the name of the game, Jordan. It's a tough industry here in Portland, the craft beer.
I'm looking for social media handles. And
now?
No, for the podcast when we first built the podcast.
Okay.
And I settled on Instagram on Beers on Us Pod because Beers on Us was taken. Because during the war, like the previous Euros, I think it was, whenever England scored a goal, everyone threw their beers in the air.
Should I do that in the
And
studio?
so it was hashtag Beers on Us.
Oh God.
And it was quite frustrating. But I think we got a bunch of random people that stumbled into a beer podcast
That's
thinking we were talking football.
That is a good name, though, for a soccer podcast, Beers on Us. Because, I've seen those clips where they go nuts in bars and establishments during big matches.
I don't think those people care. I think they just want to throw beer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like
Beer is sticky. No thanks.
it's like the Phoenix Open, the Waste Management Open.
Yeah,
Nobody really cares about golf. They just want to get to the 16th hole, stand in the crowd, pray to God someone makes a hole in one. They
And
don't
then-
care who it is.
and then throw beer at everybody.
Yes.
Oakley Dokley. Well, we got a show for you tonight.
Soccer and golf more coming up.
We haven't done this in a while. So we got a lot to catch up on. Plus, we'll mess around and get into some other things. I'd like to get into college football playoff because why not?
No, we're good.
I'm pretty devastated about it, but we might have to do it simply because
you
there's
of all
nothing
people
else.
want to talk about that?
I know. It's like I'm a fringe about to commit suicide. But we've got some other things to get into. Shohei Ohtani makes a lot of money, and Yoshi, our boy, he's about to make a lot of money, and there's a lot to get into. There's
Gotta talk about some Japanese dudes.
yeah, there's some Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. That's 503-864-6FAN. All texts to the fan are via the Vancouver Ford text line. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They should write before, during, and after the sale. Visit VancouverFord.com. Guilty as charged. When we come back, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is an LA Dodger. What does this mean for them, and where do we go from there? Hot Corner, Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan.
Leafs has been Portland.
Colorado Rockies.
718 here, Portland Sports Leader. Don't you forget it. We are live from the shadows of the historic Fremont Bridge.
Man, imagine if the Rockies signed Shohei and Yoshinobu.
I mean, that'd be huge, dude.
What
Could
a
you imagine-
move.
Could you imagine Shohei in Colorado?
And out of
70
nowhere.
homers. He'd hit 70 homers.
That'd be great.
I could hit 70 homers.
He'd also have like a 4.56 ERA. Too.
What if he like showed up and had like a 2.5 ERA in Colorado?
That's impossible. That is
Best
physically
pitcher in
impossible.
Colorado history.
That's improbable, but not impossible.
They set me up for that one.
Dude, great job.
I got wide orbit. Dude, I spent all the times filling in primetime, dude. I just didn't have this. I like couldn't do anything.
Oh, why?
I have no idea. Now it works magically.
Oh, well, that's good. Now
Yeah.
we can fire up. I mean,
Corey, you thrilled our fans.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
We're here. Go crazy, kids. But Joe, we haven't done this for a little bit, so it's time to catch up
I don't know what to do with my hands right now.
all of our faithful 5 listeners on what's been going on in baseball.
Hey.
And we'll get into Shohei in a moment, as that we actually didn't get to do a show about him signing a contract.
That's right. I remember texting you a little disappointed in that. I'm like, because you were doing primetime something else.
And you were
Again,
like, "Do you want to do Hot Corner?" And I was like, "No, I don't want to be here for 6
you're
hours."
a much bigger deal than me for a couple weeks.
That was big time in you. That was big time in you.
was.
I apologize for that.
It's all good. I'm pretty sure I got sick. I think around that same time, I was going to do a show with you.
Oh, yeah,
that was the
yeah.
next week.
Yeah.
And then I had the mud butt. So
You had the mud butt.
was throwing up all over 99W.
But since we've been here, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, as we so lovingly call the good friend of this show, Yoshi,
He's a P1.
he did sign with the Dodgers for a 10-year, $325 million contract. Dare I say, $1 million more than Garrett Cole.
I know that makes you happy.
It makes me very happy.
Oh,
You
it probably
broke
makes-
bitch, Garrett Cole.
It makes
You are a
happy.
loser.
That wasn't a deal that was supposed to be written in. Otherwise, Yoshi was walking out of the room like, I'm going to go jump off the building. That was guaranteed for this contract.
But I find Yoshinobu's contract interesting, and I don't need to get into the nitty gritty deal. He has deferred money, blah blah blah. That's kind of the new thing a lot of guys are doing. But
Backloaded.
it's backloaded. There's opt-outs when it comes to Tommy John. There's opt-outs if he gets traded. There's tons of World Series opt-outs.
If he is on IR for like 100 and something days straight.
Yeah, he
163
can
days. I don't
disappear.
know.
So it's a very player-friendly contract.
Isn't it? Shohei's deal is the one where if the GM and the owner
Yes.
like die or something like that.
If they get
then-
fired, he is the opportunity to walk away.
Right.
But I've never seen really a deal like Yamamoto's kind of come across the line, and it's interesting because he came out and said that basically Ohtani signing with the Dodgers didn't really influence him, that he was going to sign there. I know, I fully believe that, but I am very curious to kind of wrap Ohtani and Yamamoto into the same thing here for a hot moment.
Well, that's racist.
Is this potentially the future? Like, is this what we're looking at for deals right now? Like, if you can step away, like, let's take a look at some of the other best players in baseball. Like, Ronald Acuna Jr. signed a very, very team-friendly deal that will make him a lot of money. Julio Rodriguez signs a very team-friendly deal that could make him a lot of money. And when we saw those, Alex Bregman, Ozzy Albies, things like that, Fernando Tatis, these young guys signing these long deals, they look like, oh, wow, this is going to change the landscape. This is going to change how we do deals. Yet Ohtani and now Yamamoto, is this just a Japanese thing? Or are we going to look at contracts completely different from here on out?
I think this is a Dodgers thing. Just to bring in another arm into this, they gave Glass now the extension, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it is a franchise MLB team mindset. I think that the Braves and the players, like, I'm sure a lot of Braves players would like to have that type of money. And we saw with the Machado deal, you can basically rip up the last 4 years and figure out a new one. So I think this is a matter of the Dodgers wanting a ring that is not with an asterisk on it, because I don't care what anybody says, that ring has an asterisk
2020
on it.
is tough. Yeah.
I mean, I'll give the Lakers theirs because that situation was different, but 60-game season, sorry, no. I think they're just desperate to win a World Series and have no doubts about it. And that's why you saw them spend $1 billion this offseason.
Between two guys.
Yeah, well, granted, $1 billion over the next however many years, whatever. But I think this is a solely unique LA Dodgers thing where they know they can afford it. They have made the deal work for them in the long term and the short term. I mean, Ohtani, we saw his deal. It's like, what is it, $2 million a year?
2
Yeah.
a year for 10 years.
The Yamamoto contract is backloaded and, again, has all those opt-outs.
This year is 5, 10 and 25, 12 and 26
For Yoshi.
for Yoshi.
Yeah, and then
26 and 7, 27, 28, 29, 29 in the following 2, and 28 from 32 to 35.
Yes. So I think that the Dodgers, I mean, got to tip their cap to them, is that
They got a lot of money on the books between Freeman, Mookie, Yoshi, and now Ohtani. Like, there's a lot of money on the books. That's tax threshold. That's all kinds of fines and stipulations and stuff like that.
and they don't care. I think they truly do not care, and that is one of those, like, the Padres were kind of going down this road for a bit, too. It's like, dude, just get players, and we'll figure this out later, and they're really figuring it out
And that
now.
kind of blew up in their face. And that's what I'm curious. Like, I mean, the Dodgers are kind of one of those sports organizations in America, similar to the Yankees and maybe the Knicks to an extent, or the Lakers, or, fill in large market teams.
Big spenders.
Big spenders, yeah, Red Sox, things like that. I'm curious if this, is it one of those things where I can print money so I'm not worried about it? Or is this something that in 10 years, when Yamamoto and Ohtani and Mookie and Freddie are all gone, are the Dodgers setting themselves up for a dark period? Because the Yankees had a dark period in the 80s. The Red Sox had a dark period for 100 years. The Cubs as well, they spent money those couple years, won a series. And you see teams like Kansas City will go out and throw some money because they know they can win a title. Like Max Scherzer backloaded his deal because the Nationals threw everything in their pot to win one. But is this the kind of, and now they're one of the worst teams in the league, are the Dodgers setting themselves up to be in a dark time?
Well, I mean, listen, this Yoshi contract, I mean, we could be looking at another Tanaka deal where it's like, yeah, he gets all this money, but then he's back in the Japanese league in a matter of like 5-6 years, right?
Yeah, he like opts out and is just like, I'm out of here.
And then at that point, you aren't in that tough of a spot, and, more talent comes up. Yeah, I mean, only time will tell on that, right? I think that they are just very much in the mindset that if we have the talent now to win a World Series, if we add these 2-3 guys, because again, the Glasnow deal, I think we can't gloss over that.
They paid him.
Yeah, it's like, let's go after it now. We are in a prime position, I think, in our division to be the champs for the foreseeable future now that the Padres are in the problem there. Them beating out the Giants on both of these guys. And I saw a line.
Ouch.
I saw a line that Yoshinobu Yamamoto saw San Francisco, and it reminded him of, I think, Okinawa.
Like
And
bad.
and
streaks.
it was like, if the Dodgers did not offer, he probably would have gone to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which is just more salt and lemon and
Yeah, because he liked
acid
it.
in the
He
winter.
liked the city.
Yeah, it reminded him of home. And so
Yeah.
I think you look at that. Rockies, obviously not much of a concern at this moment. I mean, the Diamondbacks, with their young talent, but I would say that when you stack up those two rosters and play the game on paper, which is not how it's done, but
the Dodgers weren't able to bludgeon them in the playoffs.
No.
Now they'll be able to bludgeon people.
But also when it
In
comes
theory.
and when it comes to playoffs, I mean, pitching is uber important. And now you got essentially 2 aces, and we'll see what happens with Shohei down the road. But I think that,
Can have 3 with Walker Buehler. That's 4 in my book.
yeah, there you
Throw
go.
Clayton in there. I'd say, I'd still, yeah.
Yeah.
I let me ask you this, guys.
Can I try to answer a couple of your questions before you move on?
Sure,
first?
go
Just
for
the
it.
last 2. I have
Hit it.
I have a burning thought on the whole deferred money thing. This is so smart for these Japanese players to do for 2 reasons. Because obviously they're playing in California.
Taxes.
Exactly. I mean,
Taxes are huge.
the taxes, but then the deferred money to later in life. It's smart for both the players because because, Shohei's going to be 50 years old making this cash. But
Well, if I didn't make peanuts, I would defer money too.
No, absolutely.
I do. It's called Social Security, but that's about to be absolved.
Yeah,
So,
401k.
Wasted on that.
Well, so it's a trend that I think that we're going to start seeing in baseball, especially if you sign in a high-tax state like California. But it's also a positive for the Dodgers because that's $60 million. You asked, and this is how I'm going to answer your second question, will this set them up for a dark period? It's about managing the players on the field. It's not about how much money you spent. So, no, that $60 million ain't going to be on their salary cap. It's just dead money in 10 years.
That's true.
If they can afford to still pay people, if they've got a manager like Dave Roberts or whoever the hell they think can lead the charge, if they still have that organizational prowess, then no, I don't think a dark period's coming. But I do think they're running their team smarter than Brian Cashman and the Yankees. So.
Yeah. The dead money thing is very interesting because you're right. It doesn't go against your luxury tax, and so that is what's smart. I'm curious, and then when we come back, I'd love to. There's a great text that just showed up. I'd love to get into that. But before we do that, I just want to say what are you willing to trade? So like let's for example, let's pretend here that the Dodgers after 10 years will go into a 4 or 5 year dark period. They might win a division, they might get in the playoffs, but not real threats. Will you trade that for 2 rings?
Yes, I think the Dodgers 100%
Every
would.
day of the week.
For 2 rings in 10 years, you would trade that?
I mean, dude, they have won one World Series
Since 88.
and in this stretch of playing as well as they have, I mean, that's it.
I went to like one other one, right? In that 10-year.
They lost to the
The
Astros.
Yeah, so exactly. They won one World Series
you know
and
what I
went to
mean.
another and lost in a 10-year period.
garbage can.
It's hard to
You know
get
what I mean?
there.
Yeah, I think that this is like we're sick of coming this short and having this stacked of a team that let's just get it more stacked. And I mean, you look at the 5 guys that they have signed through 2027: Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
I love that Glasnow move.
That is, I hate it, but I hear what you're saying.
know.
But that is your 5 stars essentially
Yeah.
that you have locked up until 2027.
And after this coming year, in all honesty, assuming Yamamoto pans out to be this beautiful pitcher that we're all expecting him to, he's got a slider strikeout.
You want to talk
pitch.
about a pitching ninja?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Assuming that you're going to, and then say Ohtani comes back full strength in 2025, your rotation is Ohtani 1, or maybe Yamamoto 1, Ohtani 2. I think the answer is Walker Buehler 3 and then Glasnow. Like, your number 4 is Glasnow? I thought the Mariners were exciting with Kirby at number 4, but Glasnow at number 4 is pretty damn sexy.
Well, and let's be real. We Shohei being their number 2 is something that I think we need to maybe hold our breath on.
Yeah, and I want to get into, there's some texts coming in, Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326 that do talk about money and what this will mean for the Dodgers long term. And I do want to get into that, but let's also talk about what this Dodger team might look like on the field, on the pitch, as some would call it. And I've got a very staunch, not like cross the bow warning, but just to remember like a Kevin Bacon Animal House all is well type reminder that this might not be the death of everybody.
That's the second Kevin Bacon reference on this station today. And
6 degrees.
see, that is what they were going off about on Danny and Dusty today. And I was like, dude, give me a homework assignment of like a day.
I didn't listen to their show because I have a job.
That's true. It is during working hours. I was like, give me a day. I
Just
can
like
give you
to them. I love
30 to
those guys.
50 actors I would rank above Kevin Bacon.
Well, of course. So let's get into all that next. But first, there's Jordan with sports.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Portland Trailblazers back in action tonight. They are on the road facing off against the Dallas Mavericks. It's not going very well at all. A minute to go in the third quarter. 98-72 is the Mavs lead. It was over 30 at one point, and check this out. So the team usually commits around 20 fouls a game, and they got called for that in the first half, including a flagrant 2 by Duop Reap, and forcing him to be ejected from the game. So definitely not a fun one for you Blazer fans. Just about to end the third quarter, and Dallas still leads by 26, 98-72. Other local news today, some good news. Ducks linebacker Jeff Bossa announcing he's returning to Oregon for his senior season in 2024. He had a career-high 73 tackles this season. And also in Portland, Merritt Paulson officially selling the Portland Thorns for $63 million to a Southern California-based company called Raj Sports. Paulson will still continue to maintain ownership of the Timbers. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Here's to everyone who was made to shine, from Shane Company. To wearing your lucky gold chain to the game, to receiving your first communion in your new pearls. Here's to getting down on one knee, to recommitting to forever, to saying yes to something sparkly just for you, just because. Here's to your first set of diamond studs, to the family heirloom you'll never take off. Here's to lighting up the room like only you can. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together millions of things for our planet. This new year, make some resolutions that will improve the environment. Resolve to use less gas in your car. You can carpool to work a couple of days a week, use public transportation like buses or trains, combine errands to make fewer trips, and take a walk for any distances of a mile or less. And think about an electric car when looking for your next vehicle. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-217-1155. That's 800-217-1155. 800-217-1155.
The original home. The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
The most ridiculous controversy, the most overblown drama in college football history, hopefully, can be put to rest. That the only reason Harbaugh and Michigan were winning because they were stealing signs from some low-level, irrelevant staffer who on a shaky iPhone, doing what the rest of college football fans do, iPhone taping, and then handing it to an assistant, although Harbaugh still says, I didn't hear about it, I didn't know about it. Hopefully it puts it to rest. Because they didn't have that sign stealing against Penn State, against Ohio State, and against Alabama that we know. And they went 3-0 and pushed all three of them around.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon. 1080 The Fan. This is the Hot Corner with Harrison Fisher on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
(503-864-6326). That is the Vancouver Ford text line. You can also catch us on YouTube at 1080 AM The Fan.
That trumpet slaps.
It slaps so hard, but the Mets are not going to slap for a little while.
Oh.
They missed out on Yamamoto.
And paid a big luxury tax bill.
And they got a huge luxury tax bill.
Yeah.
A couple things I want to read from the Vancouver Ford text line, kind of talking about what the Dodgers might be up to. And I love this from Jordan, who texts in from the 206. When the CBA is up in 2026, these deferred contracts will have a reckoning. Owners aren't going to just let the Dodgers keep doing this. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next one has stipulations for how deferred money hits the luxury tax. I wouldn't be surprised if after that happens, the Dodgers are paying a lot of that money up front. And I think that's fair, because what's going to happen is, like, let's remember, I think every time the letters CBA get brought up, we instantly think of the players. The NFLPA, MLBPA, the NBA Players Association. We instantly think about the players and their rights, mobility, rest, things like that. We're constantly thinking about their rights. Kyrie Irving versus Yamamoto versus Russell Wilson right now, and all this other stuff. Like, how does this benefit the players? But I think this texter Jordan's correct in the sense that owners are going to, the Colorado Rockies, the Pittsburgh Pirates, Paul Dolan, the POS that owns the Cleveland Guardians, they're going to step up and be like, whoa, deferred money? Because why wouldn't everyone just do that and you never pay luxury tax?
Yeah, I think that when you look at this, I mean, the classic case of deferred money that comes up is Bobby Bonilla.
Without a doubt.
And
we celebrate it every day on this show.
Yes, and it will,
or every year, I should say.
And once that day passes and he's no longer paid, it will turn into Happy Chris Davis Day.
Chris Davis gets a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Max Scherzer is going to get a bunch of money. And now, my friends, Shohei Ohtani is the new Bobby Bonilla.
The problem is that the Chris Davis thing never really paid off. But besides that, I think that might be like this kind of
Cincinnati and all their World Series titles.
Like this cloud that has hung over deferred payments all this time. Is like, well, you don't want another Bobby Bonilla situation on your hands. And now
it's like a threat.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, don't do that because then you'll get made fun of, like the Mets, Ponzi schemes.
I could be looking into it a little bit more than it actually is, but when you have a surefire talent like Ohtani, I mean, really, I'll say it with Yoshi.
I would argue they thought that way about Bonilla.
Yeah, that's a good point. But maybe that is what has strayed teams from doing this. And now that they're seeing the Dodgers, like, just go in on the deferred, is that other teams will be like, granted, it's like, well, you could have done this.
Sure.
So I do agree with the texter is that there will be a reckoning with the CBA, whereas if the Dodgers are...
At least in luxury tax.
If we get into 26 and the Dodgers have won like 3 straight World Series, yeah, the owners are going to be pissed.
Yes.
Let me add, too, I know you guys were talking about the Mets, obviously, and Bobby Bonilla. The reason that they deferred some of that money, they wanted to do it because they were invested with Bernie Madoff. And
right.
They thought they were going to make more than 8% on that cash. So we are talking now in 2024 about like teams with cash, with all this deferred money happening, and that's probably going to change. But 20 years ago, there was like a whole different reason for this. This wasn't even thought of. So it's kind of funny that it's now Bobby Bonilla Day, but the reason is vastly different than why the Dodgers did.
JR texts in, old homeboy, old friend of mine, JR, shout out to you. Thank you for continuing to listen to this stupid show, yet they keep putting us on the airwaves. The Dodgers seem like the Saudis, unlimited resources to buy as many championships as they can. And JR, this is where I will push back a little bit. This is why we're actually preventing the Saudis from getting in to American sports. Because what I will argue that, yeah, in 2026, there might be a reckoning, but this is smart business. This isn't Manchester City. This isn't just throwing money this isn't the Saudi League and Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema and things like that. It's a little different. This is actually working around the system. Yeah, Dodgers owners are richer than 99% of sports owners in America, but this is where I will push back on that. As bad as I think this could be for the league, if, like Joe said, the Dodgers rip off 5 or 6 World Series wins in the next 10 years.
Whoa, I said 3. Don't even go down that road, for the love of God.
As much as I agree with Joe on that, from a rules standpoint and from a quote unquote financial fair play, it's pretty genius. It's pretty genius to have, if the player themselves are willing to do that And it's easy to say when you're an Ohtani because you're like a Hulk Hogan, a Dwayne Johnson, a Michael Jordan kind of figure, Tiger Woods, that everyone in the world knows who you are. Yeah, that's easier to bet on yourself. But a Yamamoto, a Max Scherzer, a Bobby Bonilla, that's still pushing a lot of cash away. I think it's more genius from a business standpoint than I'm just Saudis and throw a ton of money at you. I still love you, JR. Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like that, though.
But that Texter Jordan is completely right, though, that this is going to get brought up. This has sparked so much attention and has sparked so much. Anytime somebody has a great idea that massively benefits them, that everyone else could use, but no one else thought of it, what's the first thing they do? Create rules to stop you. And that's probably what is going to happen. And the Dodgers may look at it and come 2026, which might not take effect till 2027, say, okay, yeah, we're in the luxury tax. And the Dodgers have the money to pay that luxury tax. But what if they're not any good anymore? Do you think the Mets are really jazzed about spending the most money in luxury tax this year? Do you think the Yankees are really jazzed about spending the second most money in luxury tax? They got nothing to show for it.
It's true. And what I think rubs or will rub the owners
spending money without
way.
Getting anything is different.
Yeah. What I think is going to rub the owners the wrong way is like deferred contracts have been around for a while, but they're like $1 million. $2 million. Like they're little bits and pieces. But when you have the Dodgers like, well, we'll just give you $2 million. And how about we give you $680 million down the road? They're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
We could have done that. Like
that's where their big coffers come into play.
Yeah. And so that's kind of it. So it's a slippery slope, but as much
would you be surprised to see this happening in the next few years from other teams?
Well, that's what I wonder.
Get to that point.
Well, that's what I wonder if other teams are going to be like, ooh, I want to do that, but wait, when the rules change, it could screw us.
Well, and $68 million in 10 years is not $68 million right now.
That is also true.
So I think that's also where other
it's like a deal.
Yeah, right? Like that.
In 10 years, I got to pay Shohei Ohtani $68 million a year? Well, awesome, because Ken Griffey III makes $200 million a year, and this is a steal.
Yeah, so I think that is the other problem with it is like you're not just deferring the money. Like that money does not
go up with inflation.
Yeah, it's like that is completely different how that money hits the books in 10, 15 years from now. So, yeah, $680 million, let's not get it twisted. That's still a lot of effing money in 10 years. But again, it's much different. And I think, and trust me, I don't know if there were other teams throwing out this idea to Ohtani. I don't know if
it sounds like the Giants had the exact same deal in place.
And that's where I
so
haven't.
It must come from Ohtani's camp.
And that's where I haven't looked at the, whose idea was this? Was this Ohtani's idea? Was this the Dodgers coming to him and be like, hey, I mean, to take $2 million a year.
Is this a Japanese exclusive thing?
I thought I remember reading that Ohtani, that this was his idea, that he wanted to create more space for either the Giants or the Dodgers to go out and get somebody else to make winning is the priority for
I feel like,
Dude,
you're
the
right.
Giants got Jung Ho Lee, though.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm just talking about the negotiations. Yeah,
he's actually
Giants.
really cool.
He's going to have to look at some guy and
he's from an Asian country, right? Good enough. You guys happy? Yeah, no.
Yeah, they paid a bunch of money for a guy to literally walk around and look at a cesspool of a city. Yeah, Yoshi and Shohei didn't want to do that.
Hey,
all right.
It's like Okinawa is what Yoshinobu said.
Dude, sounds like Okinawa's dope. I love San Francisco.
And yes, there's a lot of poo on the streets, but it's a big city, kind of like Portland when it was burning down, right? Like, no, that was just kind of like 2 blocks, bro.
Yeah, dude, just don't go there.
I'm on the east side having some great Vietnamese Thai food, whatever.
No po for life, man. No po for life.
We're good. It's much bigger than just 3 blocks filled with poo.
All right,
just needs to stay at Pier 39.
All right, let's get away from the money aspect and let's talk about what this actually means for the Dodgers on the field or the pitch, as some might say. Can you just pencil them in? I don't know if baseball works that way. A lot more to get to. Hot Corner, 1080 The Fan.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC.
the Dodgers. Let's see it in October and early November.
But we could also sit here in 365 days and say, who's going to stop the Dodgers? So who knows? Well, let's see how it plays out. Well, let's take a break from baseball for a hot second, and let's talk about the big game that's coming up on Monday and how terrified I am of what the possibility result could be. Loaded second hour. Don't go anywhere. Hot Corner, 1080 The Fan.
Leif's has been Portland's #1 choice for decades. Why? Because the other body shops trade insurance referrals for cheap, shoddy repairs. If you cut corners, use imitation parts, you get referrals. The results? Surveys find up to 90% of discount repairs are poor, even unsafe. Trade-in value? Forget about it.
Corner. It's missed in the first hour. You can get that at the Service Patriots podcast. Service Patriots, your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers for our listeners. That's you, my friends, at servicepatriots.com/The Fan. Don't forget the Vancouver Ford text line too, 503-864-6326. I got a beautiful 2022 Bronco Sport sitting out in the parking lot right now. I drive that bad boy every single day. She is a beaut. I love her, and they treat me right all day, every day. Shout out Vancouver Ford. Monty's great.
The ever important after the sale, are they still treating you right?
Still treating me great.
Okay.
Still treating me great.
Yeah,
Absolutely fantastic.
55,000 miles into my car. I'm not getting that treatment. Maybe I got to go to see where you
Go check out Monty at Vancouver Ford. They'll take care of you. Coming up in a half hour, we'll have Fair or Foul. We'll slide into a little more baseball. Plus, we do want to laugh about some people that are dead but not dead. And why one of the greatest hitters of all time, whether he was on the juice or not, still all of a sudden has lost his swing. So we'll have some fun with that in about 15 minutes. But I figured we'd take a go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, I just saw this on the news, on the TV in front of us. Want to do a little PSA. The Portland Mercado.
Oh, I love that place.
Dude,
I saw this. Tragic.
When I got back to Portland from my schooling in Eugene, I had to do my little journalism thing up in the city for a little bit. And one of the first little stories I had to do for my portfolio, I went to the Portland Mercado Market, talked to some of the business owners, and learned about that place. And it caught fire, and there looks like there were some fire damages to some of the businesses in there, which is absolutely unfortunate because there's some great food there, great business owners, and it's what it does is it basically gives some of these Latin American cuisines and owners of these businesses a place to start their business, so that way they can then venture out into the Portland market and find their brick and mortar, like find their own location. So this
One
is
might call the American dream.
Yes. And so to see this happen, very unfortunate. And I advise anybody that's listening that once they're back up and running, go check them out and support them because one, Latin America, South America, Central America, whatever, they make amazing food.
Amazing food. Yeah.
So support them for that.
Welcome to the best
alone.
food in the Western Hemisphere.
But
Thank
also,
you very much.
hardworking individuals, and that place is awesome. You can get whatever you want there, it seems like. They got a little produce market, a little candy market. So bummer to see, but once that place gets up and going, you'll see me there.
Shout out Mercado. All right.
Yes.
Stay strong, guys. We got your back. Real quick, I figured we deviate a little bit. It's the off season, and maybe it's the primetime bug that's sticking in me, or maybe it's just hanging out with Joe Fisher too much. But I'd like to steer away a little bit from time to time here on the Hot Corner during the off season about some non-baseball related topics.
Non-baseball? I can't wait to hear what we're going to talk about. What is it, Patrick?
It's so funny. I wanted to bring this up, and Joe has been more poo-poo on this than I have. Joe, let me ask you. Are you terrified that the Huskies are going to win a natty?
Yes.
Yeah, me too, dude.
I am
absolutely terrified.
And I believe it was Klatt or someone that was on Colin's show today, and he said, and I'm trying to just keep this mindset and faith in me, is that Michigan built their defense over the last few years to stop the C.J. Strouds of the world and this high passing offense of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and they've done that.
Big quarterback play over there.
Yes, yeah.
Big quarterback play in the Big Ten and the SEC,
But all geared to basically beat Ohio State in that high-powered offense. Justin Fields,
Look,
what they've
if
done.
your quarterback hands the ball off twice and then throws an 8-yard pass, we will dominate you.
Listen, Iowa, I don't think they got to do much recruiting and preparing to beat Iowa's offense, right? But Ohio State's offense, some of the best quarterbacks, some of the best receivers in the nation, and you could say is wide receiver over the last 5-10 years, the way that they turn out talent. They built their defense to be able to beat those teams, and they have 3 years in a row. What is Washington? They're built with a amazing quarterback, which pains me to say, but it seems like every damn week he proves that.
Phenomenal offensive game plan.
And their wide receivers catch everything. And it is the most annoying thing in the world.
And I think,
but impressive to watch as a football fan.
I think if you are a Pac-12 fan that is a fan of a team that's going to the Big Ten, okay, if you're one of the 4 that are going to the Big Ten, and that kills me to say it because I'm the guy that's left out over here. But this
For now.
But this is something that I've been hammering on. I feel like the national narrative is going to be trying, not for this game, but for the Pac-12 guys moving to the Big Ten and that becoming a super conference is, look out, Pac-12. This is Big Ten football. Do you know what this means here? And what I've been trying to say is exactly to Joe's point. Like, do you understand, guys, that C.J. Stroud, I was super down on him going to the NFL. Did he prove me wrong? Hell yeah, he did. He looks like a pretty solid quarterback.
Well, he tested so poorly.
All right, but let me ask you about Justin Fields, all right? What was the last Michigan quarterback to do something, all right? Find me a Penn State quarterback to do something. The last Big Ten quarterback I ever saw do anything in my life is Drew Brees, and he's been retired for 2 years and hasn't won a Super Bowl in a decade.
Go Boilermakers.
Okay? So, like, this idea that the Big Ten is going to show the Pac-12 what football is really about, I don't know. The Big Ten has not seen quarterbacks like what we do out here. If Cam Ward walks into the Big Ten, Cam Ward's what? The 5th best quarterback in the Pac-12 this year? 4th, 5th best quarterback, right? I'm looking for some agreement from somebody.
I mean,
4th,
yes.
5th best quarterback, somewhere around there.
4th, yeah.
I mean,
4th, 5th, something like that. He walks into the Big Ten without these Pac-12 teams. He's the best quarterback in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I don't know.
What you like J.J. McCarthy? No,
I'm probably giving that to you. Yeah, the J.J. McCarthy thing, I don't get.
And this is really the preview for Big Ten fans. If I'm a Big Ten fan, if you're Ohio State, you better pray Michigan wins this natty. You better pray.
I don't think.
And I say that because if UW walks in and dominates Michigan like I think they're going to,
oh boy,
which is death note for you and me and you and me.
Put me in stasis for next year.
I would hate that.
Pac-12 has quarterbacks. 3 of the 4 teams that are going into the Big Ten next year have 3 of the best quarterbacks in your conference if they were to play this year. And the 4th is now the backup at Oregon. Okay? So they're in for a big, big wake-up call. That being said, if the Huskies win a natty, my life is over.
But I am, it really hit me reality hit me on, was it Sunday or Monday, whenever the Texas game was. I thought that was going to be the moment that Washington faces a defensive front that they haven't seen this year. I know Oregon's defense is great. Jordan Burch has been great. Casey Rogers, all of that. But they didn't have big dudes like Texas did. And they were able to push Alabama around when they played them. I thought that is where the rubber met the road for Washington. I mean, they have been the luckiest team in college football history this year. I mean, how many one-possession games or games decided by less than 10 points?
Should have lost to my team, and my team is in 1AA.
They should have lost to Arizona State. They almost lost to Stanford. Like, it was, again, extremely lucky this year. But these last few games that they've played, they balled out. And what they did against Texas, and they almost blew it. Oh, my God. I cannot believe. Like, I was so resigned to the fact to them winning that game. And then they almost, I won't say the word because it has to do with your alma mater, but they almost blew it.
They should have blown it.
And, I mean,
it looked like Sark was on the sideline.
Well, quite frankly, those 4 plays, too, by the goal line, Quinn Ewers and Sark, what are you?
Bad play calling, yeah.
But I mean, not as bad as Milroe on a draw on 4th down.
Yeah, but
this ain't 2 yards; it's 8 yards, bro.
Snap the ball a little bit better, and then we'll see what happens on that play. But
that's the truth.
That game is when reality hit me, where I'm like, oh boy, if they were to basically run that entire game, which they did, Texas did not lead. I don't think in that entire game.
Texas did not lead.
Not even in the beginning. So. That is when the reality set in. I'm like, oh my God, they might do this. And I am just hoping that the luckiest team in college football history, that the rubber meets the road against Michigan, because Michigan's defense is the best in the country.
It's really good.
They get a lot of...
They impress the hell out of me against Alabama.
If you watch that game against Alabama... coverage sacks.
And Suk sat in that chair, and Suk and I talked about this. J.J. McCarthy hasn't had to throw the ball since early November.
Mm-hmm.
And Suk said the only way Michigan wins is if McCarthy throws the ball, and boy, he came out slinging. It didn't always look pretty, but he came out slinging.
And Washington has given up a lot of points this year. So I'm not really convinced. I mean, as you said, Joe, lucky that they've been. So I'm not convinced that they're not going to go in and play a perfect game in the national championship. I know that they're playing a little above their britches, but Dylan Johnson is still having to apply himself with painkillers just to run. Will they have everything out left on the field? Of course. But yeah, as a Duck fan, no longer a part of the Pac-12. I have no conference affiliation. Obviously, we're both joining the Big Ten, Huskies, Ducks, UCLA, and USC next year. But now that we're not really caring about the strength of the Pac-12 overall, no, screw the Huskies. I never want to see you succeed. And yeah, I'm mad that you're in the college football playoff. I'm sorry. I'll admit it. I am.
I can't believe I'm going to say it. Go Blue.
Oh, dude, I was horns up.
Go Jimmy.
Go Blue.
I was horns up.
Oh, I was Roll Tide.
Yeah, dude.
Because I can't root for Sark because he used to be at UW.
That's true.
I put money on the Tide. I really thought.
Yeah, I was Roll Tide.
Granted, when he was at UW, it's not like they were.
It's like that old ESPN commercial where the brother is giving the toast to his brother. He goes, y'all didn't know he was a virgin until 38, and now Roll Tide.
Yep. Go Michigan. Hey, I do have a small place in my heart for Michigan because their fight song, the tune of it, is also the same fight song that, or, melody, whatever the hell the word is, that Tualatin uses. And nice. When I grew up in Tualatin and before I moved to Sherwood in 8th grade, my sister was a cheerleader. So I know Tualatin's fight song, and it's to the same tune as the Michigan one. So when I hear that fight song go on for Michigan, I'm like, hail to the Wolves in crimson, hail. Well, yada, 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 whatever the rest of the lyrics
Well, I
are.
can't root for Michigan because they beat my Cougs in the 98 Rose Bowl, and there's still 3 seconds left on that clock.
Hail, hail to Tualatin, the leaders and the band.
Stick to that.
There need to be more fight songs written. Let's not copy the ones in college.
The greatest college quarterbacks ever in Ryan Leaf. All right, when we come back, let's slide back into baseball and let's have fun with people that don't know what the hell they're doing. Plus fair or foul in 15 minutes. Hot Corner, 1080 The Fan.
Here's to everyone who was made to shine, from Shane Company. To wearing your lucky gold chain to the game, to receiving your first communion in your new pearls. Here's to getting down on one knee, to recommitting to forever, to saying yes to something sparkly just for you, just because. Here's to your first set of diamond studs, to the family heirloom you'll never take off. Here's to lighting up the room like only you can. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for?
Here in about 15 minutes, so don't you go anywhere. That's everybody's favorite. But let's slide back into baseball. And I always love, if you listen to 1080 The Fan a lot, especially the primetime boys are good at this. And the morning boys, they tend to check their sources. But the primetime guys always throw this out there about people who might be dead.
Throwing some slander at the morning show.
You know what? Yeah, let's do it. I guarantee you, those guys on the morning show, Brandon, Andy, I hope you're listening right now. I know you hope UW wins the Natty, and that should revoke both of your cards.
Yeah, I mean, I won't
cost you your job.
I won't speak for them, but the fact that there are
Big fan of them, produce their show, love those guys. Listen to it, P1 every day. If you're rooting for the Huskies, you should lose your job.
Yeah, I won't speak for them. Apparently, they'll speak for me, though, when it comes to our conversations about the Cowboys. I saw like Tyrell.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
I saw Tyrell Crosby, former Ducks lineman, tweet out that he was rooting for Washington.
That's disgusting.
And he's like, got to support the conference. And I'm like, like that is
Sport Michigan then, bro. That's your conference.
Shame. That is terrible. And I have always been a staunch, I don't care about the conference because look where the Pac-12 is now.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
I have no idea why that's there, but I just found
I don't either, but man, I just went back to like 4th grade right there. I saw Papa Roach live at Rockfest actually at the Meadows.
Jacoby Shaddix.
Is that what
Scar? That's his name. Well, because he hosted Scar.
I could not watch that show.
Well, I couldn't
that was
either.
one I turned off right away. But that is blasphemous. That is, you cannot do that. You should be stoned to death if you root for Washington and you went to Oregon State. I mean, I'm sure they don't care. But if you went to Oregon or Washington State, you cannot root for Washington in this game.
Never in my entire life.
What are you doing?
Never.
Get
out of here.
Get a sense in you.
I root against the Bengals
Wake
for a
up.
simple reason because I hate Jake Browning.
Yeah, dude. That like watching.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Jamar Chase, Stefanski, Joe Burrow. I think that team's great.
I will say
Browning's the quarterback. I hope you die.
I know you wanted to get into some baseball, but I will say that there is this weird part of me that when I hear all these national pundits now being like, Michael Penix, man, he might be a top 5 pick. I'm like, cool. It looks like you finally watched a Washington game this year. Just this last week. What's that dumbass on Colin Cowherd, Jason McIntyre? He is just
Colin
slobbing JJ McCarthy, and Colin was like, I would take Penix. So, really, Colin? And then he even said that he would probably take Bo Nix over JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy is what? The 15th best quarterback in college football right now?
But the fact that he is just shocked, like, what? Michael Penix is that good? I'm like, dude, yeah. Like, he is that dude right now.
I give JJ McCarthy one
Jersey
thing.
aside.
I give him one thing. I'll give him it. It's the only thing I'll give him because it's respect. He won a Rose Bowl and put Rose between his teeth. That's the only thing I'll give him. Everything else, you're a garbage quarterback.
Right away.
Isn't it easy to ask, like, have you
That's
seen
what
these games?
every single Pac-12, Pac-10, Pac-8, Big Ten fan has ever dreamed about is putting a Rose between their teeth. And I'll give McCarthy credit for that. Outside of that, you're a pretty pedestrian Big Ten quarterback, and that's saying a lot.
I'm surprised.
Because pedestrian Big Ten quarterbacks are a dime a dozen, my friend.
I'm surprised Colin isn't like JJ McCarthy. He's just got that quarterback face. I would take him number 1 overall.
Doesn't wear his hat backwards.
You know, there's
Something
analytics versus manalytics, and the way that he looks, he's just got that manalytics thing going, you know?
Dude, it is, God, I almost hate listening to that show now. I never thought Colin could sound more smart in my life. And then Jason McIntyre got on that show. and I'm like, oh my God.
It's so sad too because this specific
I miss
topic.
Christine and Joy.
Yeah, honestly.
The voice of reasons.
Dude, it's literally gotten worse that the more they've had to replace that person.
It's kind of sad because it wasn't just Jason McIntyre. Booger McFarlane was going out on a limb saying Michael Penix Jr. looked like Michael Vick, just exposing the fact that
was
none of these guys
that was Michael Irvin that said
Michael
that.
Irvin,
Yes,
thank you. Yeah,
yes.
sorry, Suk was saying Booger and it confused
Well,
me.
he's still blown out from the Jimmy Johnson ceremony.
It just exposes the fact that none of these guys watch, and it's just a simple question. Colin could just turn to Jason or any of these pundits and say, so how much have you watched Michael Penix this year? And I get it. They can't watch 12 games a day, but catch the fever. They've
Probably
been
watch the number 2
undefeated.
team in the nation.
Come on.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's almost a hate listen now, and it kills me to say because he is a Washington Husky, but Michael Penix is he is an NFL quarterback already.
What, the Indiana Hoosier?
Man, Who would have seen that coming? Like that
I remember
dude was
him in
gonna
Indiana.
be the best quarterback in the nation by far.
But he's not.
But Jaden Daniels is, right?
Jaden
How did he do
Daniels,
in the
Heisman.
ReliaQuest Bowl again?
Heisman. He didn't play, dude. He was worried about the NFL, dude.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, they got their backup or their next kid though, and
Worried about being a bust for like. Where do you think Jaden Daniels goes? He probably goes to
5th, 4th round. I don't know.
No, he'll be in the first round.
Really?
He'll go to
There's so
Minnesota.
There are so many quarterbacks in this draft that are like, what do you do? Like, I mean, literally close your eyes, throw a dart at the board.
Oh, dude, if I'm the Seahawks and like 15 rolls around and Bo Nix is there, done. Done.
That's going to be interesting to see.
Done.
Again, it's going to be interesting
Not
to
even a thought.
see
Done.
where all these guys go.
I'll take Bo.
The only reason Jaden's going,
I hate the Ducks and I love Bo.
No, but the only reason Jaden Daniels, because you're probably right, I want him to go in the 3rd or 4th round. He'll go in the 1st, but it's because of his LSU uniform.
I watched Jaden Daniels at Arizona State. That guy kind of sucks.
If he were wearing his Arizona State uniform walking into the draft, he would be going in the 5th round.
Yeah, that guy kind of sucks.
So PFF, this is updated December 20th, so before the bowl games, but they had Caleb Williams number 1, Drake
I'm
May
fine with.
Drake May number 2,
Fine.
Jaden Daniels number 3.
No.
That absolutely blows my mind.
Where's Bo Nix on this list?
4. And then
Penix.
Penix is 5.
F me. That's crap. Done.
Yeah. And then, but they do, and I agree with this. They put McCarthy at 7 behind Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders,
Which
who I
I'll
have to
give it-
watch. Shedeur like cocks back in a way, like when he pulls his arm back to throw a football, he has to throw his entire body with the arm because he doesn't have the strength. I've watched him.
Hey, this list needs to be updated though, because you know who's going to be going to the NFL now. Your boy.
Cam Ward.
I like.
Stay away. If you are an NFL fan and you need a quarterback, do not draft Cam Ward.
What cracked me up is as soon as, because there was noise about like if he was either going to go to the NFL or Miami
or Ohio State or Florida State. Yeah.
DJU goes to Florida State. As soon as that happens, that basically narrows it down to Miami or the NFL. And I think he was like, yeah, I think I'll just go to the NFL.
Screw Mario.
I don't think I want to go to Miami and play for that guy. Because look at Van Dyke. Like, he was supposed to be a Heisman favorite this year, starting the year. And now his stock has plummeted. I don't know if he's even going to the draft this year, if he's going to another team.
No, he transferred.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get out on this, and I know this is going to open a can, but to get out on this, what I love about Bo going into the NFL is Bo is a solid starter. The problem is the reason that guys like Caleb and Drake and even Daniels are going to go ahead of him is the potential. I know exactly what Bo Nix is going to be like in the NFL. And Bo Nix on an average roster is going to win you 8 games. Bo Nix on an above average roster could win you a Super Bowl. Not because of him, but he is smart enough and capable enough to win a Super Bowl. Everybody just wants a Mahomes.
Well, what I love,
or Jalen Hurts, and not every guy is that. But I'll tell you what, if you're at 15 and you're an average team that won 9 games but didn't make the playoffs, and you might need a quarterback, Bo Nix might be better than what you got back there.
Well, what I like about Bo is that it always seemed like after every play, whether it was completion, incompletion, and it showed him on camera, dude looked like his heartbeat was like 75 BPMs. Like he looked like even when they're down in the first quarter and then maybe it's a slow start, like we never seem phased. I know there's some quarterbacks like Penix is like that in a sense.
Hey man, they were up against UW in the Pac-12 championship, and Bo looked so good in the fourth quarter. I mean, they were behind it probably too far and probably were
they came
too
back
behind.
And took the lead at one point.
But Bo was really good in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And they were just behind and lost. But everybody cares about wins and losses in college.
Yeah, I'm trying to get like an NFL big board of quarterbacks pulled up, like the most recent one. But again, this will be very fun.
It's too out of control.
It's going to be a very fun NFL draft to see where all these quarterbacks end up.
All right, we come back. Let's slide into everybody's favorite fair or foul next. But first, my man Schultze with sports.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Portland Trail Blazers in Dallas tonight, taking the loss to the Mavericks 126-97. The final, Luka Doncic going off for 41 points. and Simons leading the way for Portland with 15. Some other local news, Ducks linebacker Jeff Bossa announcing that he will return to Oregon for his senior year in 2024. He had a career-high 73 tackles this season. And elsewhere here in Portland, some other big local news, Merritt Paulson has officially sold the Portland Thorns for $63 million to a Southern California-based company called Raj Sports. Paulson will still continue to maintain ownership of the Timbers. In the NFL, some good news for Jags fans today. Receivers Christian Kirk and quarterback Trevor Lawrence returning to the practice field in a limited role. Head coach Doug Peterson, though, still not committing to either one playing this Sunday against the Titans. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
The home of prime time with Isaac and Sue. Weekdays 3 to 7, 1080 The Fan.
Oh, not this song again.
Hello, Sarah. Real quick, if you had to choose, would you listen to elevator music all day or deal with payroll compliance?
Oh, payroll compliance for sure.
Wait, really?
Staying compliant is so much easier with Gusto. Gusto automatically calculates my taxes and files with all the right agencies for me.
That actually sounds great.
Hold up. Can Gusto help my small business with compliance too?
Of course they can.
Choose payroll compliance without the ups and downs. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
Did you know that the average public university student borrows $32,880 for their bachelor's degree? Many borrowers list student debt as the main barrier to buying a home, starting a business, or even retiring from their jobs. Are student loans keeping you from other goals? Between different payment plans, types of cancellation, and tax implications, we know that student debt can be confusing. Don't let that confusion keep you from addressing your debt. Our website offers resources, including frequently asked questions, links to other sites, and tips for avoiding scams. The site is updated by the Student Loan Ombuds, who also receives and attempts to resolve complaints about servicers or other issues with student loans. Take control of your financial future by addressing your student debt today. Visit the Division of Financial Regulations Student Loan Help site at dfr.oregon.gov or call the Student Loan Ombuds at 888-877-4894. This message brought to you by the Oregon Division of Financial Regulation, the Oregon Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
The Blazers limp into 2024.
Scoot is starting to figure some stuff out, and just talking to him, you can see it in his eyes. You can see it in how he's getting more comfortable.
How long will the fan base be patient?
Who are you developing at the 3? Who are you going to be trading in the next couple weeks? And that's the other part, is we have 2 point guards.
Talk about it and get the inside story on your home for all-day Trailblazers coverage. 1080.
Why are you playing harder tonight? Come on.
The Fan. This is the Hot Corner with Harrison Fisher on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
All right, it's 8:34 here. This is everybody's favorite Fair or Foul. We do it every single week at 8:30. And without further ado, we'll turn it over to our fantastic producer, Jordan Krunoff Champion Schultz.
Why, thank you, sir.
Oh, that was official? That was made official?
Oh, that's official. I got smoked.
We're going to have to let
teach you to F around and find out.
We're going to have to let Rashad Taylor know about this because he likes to say he's a singer himself.
We're not
We're not opening this up.
Patrick did this. We're done. We're not.
Yeah,
I'm not. Nobody else is going to challenge me. I am. Stop. We're not.
Krunoff 2,
No,
Electric Boogaloo.
No, we're not. No.
Say we gonna rock down through.
We need some 90s R&B, and then Rashad will stomp both of your asses.
Yeah, you're just saying that
No, because I Swear it was sung by Boyz II Men, so absolutely not. No, I'll smoke his ass.
I Swear was sang by All for One and written by John Michael Montgomery.
Sorry, All for One and John Michael Montgomery, not Boyz II Men. I always
It's so high.
What happened to All for One? I don't even remember.
That's it, dude. John Michael Montgomery, that was it.
That was good for them. Hey, better to have one than none, right? All right, I do have a couple of questions regarding this year's offseason in Major League Baseball. I've got 3 fair or fouls. Number 1, regarding deferred money in Major League Baseball. Now, it's kind of funny when the Shohei Ohtani contract was originally signed. If you've been living under a rock, 10 years, $700 million. Of course, the current day value of the future value of that is only $460 million. So only $46 million is going to be hitting the salary cap for the Dodgers each year. A lot of people didn't really know that. They thought it was going to be $2 million at first, and there was a lot of a lot of fear from fans saying, hey, this is ridiculous. MLB should not allow deferred money to be used, especially by the really, really rich teams.
But it still catapults to some form against the luxury tax.
Exactly.
Yeah.
$46 million will be hit on the luxury
Which is
tax
more
this
than
year.
anybody else in baseball.
It is quite a bit. Or excuse me, if you're talking luxury tax, I'm not even sure I know the total amount. I was trying to say Shohei's total salary. My bad. So instead of 70, 46 hits it. But even that, fans didn't think should be allowed. So guys, fair or foul, MLB should change the rules because this is all allowed in the CBA. No questions asked. MLB should change the rules regarding deferred money. Fair or foul?
I think it's interesting. I do firmly believe that Major League Baseball should step in and set a precedent for this, but I don't think the Dodgers should be punished for being ahead of the system. So it's a little bit of a push. It's a little bit of a wishy-wash. I think the idea, there's still $46 million going against the cap. Well, not the cap, but the luxury tax. So the Dodgers aren't getting away with murder. And $46 million is, I think, 3 or 4 more than Trout and 5 or 6 more than Mookie about what's going to go, and even ahead of,
Right around what
Tatis.
Judge makes, I think.
Tatis and Judge and who else am I thinking of? Harper. Like it's
Trey Turner.
Yeah, it's more than any player. One player is going to be against the cap. So the Dodgers aren't absolved of this. They're still going to have to deal with luxury tax. But I don't think they should be punished for, even if it was Shohei's idea, I don't think they should be punished for being ahead of the curve. But I do think Major League Baseball should step in and address this from here on out. Otherwise, we see more haves and have-nots.
I'm going to say fair, but yeah, address it at the CBA in 2026 when that time comes. Because this is kind of silly.
Yeah, I agree.
You want this player on the team now, you want the performance now, but you don't want to pay for it now. That's not. That to me is just like the idea of that when you. But I think it out like that. I'm like, I don't.
But I think the Players Association could argue that our guys said okay to that.
True, but also I don't know. I feel
but
like
it's different because Shohei's going to make $50 million in ad.
And let's be real,
ad money.
I joke about the Rockies earlier, and if the Rockies did this, would there be as much of a stink, or is it because it's the Dodgers that owners are going to get pissed?
Right.
But again,
would anybody be mad if it was the Yankees? Because it just screams a Yankee
Possibly.
move.
I think
you'd be
so.
like, oh, there's the Yankees.
But no one was upset when the Mariners signed Cano to a $230 million deal. No. It's surprising.
No one was mad when Texas did for A-Rod.
No.
Boston for Manny.
Yeah, so
Anaheim for Pujols.
I feel like there is going to be maybe a reckoning where it's like, you want this player now, you pay for it now.
Yeah, that could
and
be
there
true.
could be a max of how much you can defer on a per year basis.
That's a great point.
Or how much you can defer total.
A percentage, you can defer 25%, 33%, but you can't defer 98.
Yeah, that's what I think will come down the road is because, $680 million being paid over however many years when that hits the books in 10, 15 years, it's going to be a hell of a lot different than if you're paying for it in the now. So I agree. They do need to step in and do something about this, but they can't really do anything about it now.
All right, fair foul number 2 involving the Los Angeles Dodgers.
The Doyers
have spent over $1 billion. Over $1 billion this offseason. Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Jason Hayward, a couple other minor players.
They have agreed to pay $1 billion.
Yes.
That would be crazy.
Have to yet.
It'd be crazy if they're just like $1 billion all right now.
Well, Glasnow technically doesn't count in this number that I was throwing together because he's not a free agent. So he was traded and then they re-signed it, but just on the open market, $1 billion. Fair or foul, guys. The Dodgers going to go down as the greatest baseball team of all time.
Ooh, hard pass. Hard pass.
This iteration of them?
This next decade. This iteration
will go down over the last 150 years of baseball.
Yeah, just any team that you could put.
Hard pass. Hard pass. Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Whitey Ford, Yogi Berra, Derek Jeter, Don Mattingly, Roger Clemens, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettit.
Well, you just named like
Jorge Posada.
You named a bunch of dudes over
is it
70,
the
80
20s
years.
Yankees or the 90s Yankees? So is the 2020s Dodgers? Is this team?
Like a group.
Yes,
I thought you were talking about all time.
At first, I was like, okay, yeah.
I thought you were talking about all time. I was like, nothing's gonna beat the
Then
Yankees.
you started naming Yankees.
I was
over
like,
the
nothing's
last
gonna beat the
100
Yankees.
years.
They're the greatest franchise, and I would argue the Cardinals are number 2.
Probably. No. Just this iteration, dynasty, possible.
Okay, that's interesting. That's different.
I'm
My
gonna
bad.
say no.
Sorry, I was like, are you on drugs?
I should have worded it better. That's my bad.
No, I took it the wrong way. I was like, are you on drugs?
Possibly.
I was picking up what he was putting down. Also, let's get a test in that room just in case. I'm going to say no, just because I think you're right as far as like the top 3-4 hitters on that team. Like outside of that, you're going to have to ask a lot of role players to step up.
Big time.
And whether they fill those gaps down the road as the seasons continue is remain to be seen, but that is
trade deadlines could be interesting.
It's a tall task, and I think, there's been some collections of teams, don't forget about my 70s Orioles, that have been amazing and have had those consistent runs, and baseball has shown its parity over the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I'll say foul as well, and I will say it to another realm that 20s Yankees, 60s Yankees, and let's also not forget like homegrown. I still think means a lot. So the core 4 in New York in the 90s will mean a lot. I also think the Braves core in the 90s for only winning 1 World Series will still go down as, Maddox came from the Cubs, etc. But like Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Chipper, Andrew, like those guys, Javi Lopez, and then you put guys like Fred McGriff and dudes like that into the mix. Like, I think baseball will always look fondly upon Mantle, Maris, Berra, Whitey. I think they'll look more fondly on those nucleuses that were built organically instead of just spending money. And that's even if the Dodgers win 4 of the next 6.
Okay.
I still think people will look back at it and say Posada, Williams, Jeter, and Pettit are more impressive to me, and Rivera are more impressive to me than a couple Japanese dudes and the 2 best players in baseball.
Boy, if they win 4 out of the next 6, though, I mean, that is...
Well, we'll start talking about it.
I mean,
tune in for Fair or Foul in 2029.
It's funny that you go that way talking about the old
here.
Yankees of the 20s being great with Whitey Ford and with Lou Gehrig and with Babe Ruth. I mean, that roster was stacked, but him, Shohei Ohtani, being the current day Babe Ruth in some people's minds, it had me pause. And it's like, okay, could we see another team in today's world of baseball be deemed the greatest of 200 plus years of it? All right, guys, last question. Are you surprised? I had to sneak one in about my Mariners.
Of course.
I actually haven't really gotten to talk about this much at all. Just the off-season stinkage of the Seattle.
I was going to say, what off-season?
Thank you.
Mitch Garver is an upgrade at DH.
Yes,
Fair.
it is. Yes, they are. That's not what I'm going for. The Seattle Mariners, if you have been living under a rock, unfortunately, we're planning on spending a ton of money, but their owner has cheaped out because apparently they are forced to take ownership of Root Sports and forced to handle the money that is being asked of all these subscribers to pay more for watching. So you essentially now, as a, I think it's a Xfinity subscriber and a DirecTV subscriber, have to pay $20 more a month to get the Seattle Mariners, Seattle Kraken, and Portland Trailblazers on your TV. Mariners cheaped out because of all of this. They're saying that they don't know where their regional TV money is going to be coming from in the future, so their payroll won't be much higher than it was in 2022, backtracking massively and essentially maybe looking at around $140 million. This is after what was an amazing year, not quite enough, but to get to the playoffs, but building on something that now looks like the Mariners are going to squander. So guys, tell me, fair or foul, Mariners right now are the saddest story of the 2023-24 offseason.
Boo. I mean, I haven't really been able to look at every team's. Hey, I mean, Snell hasn't signed yet.
No.
So, I mean, you do that.
Neither's Bellinger.
That's a little bit of a redeeming quality.
They literally already used half their budget, though, to sign Garver.
I mean, listen, Jordan, you're probably right. It's I would say at this point, I don't see either of those guys going to the Mariners, which really, I feel like the Snell one was almost handed to you on a silver platter. Now, I know he's going to cost, but he wants to go to Seattle.
Wants to be there,
He wants to be there. So, I don't know. I can't say because I haven't looked at the other 29 teams in the league, but I don't know, it's pretty disappointing. It's pretty sad that they're not able to take that next step, and it seems that it is all ownership based, and they're just trying to be cheap asses.
I will say foul, and I don't think it's close. I think there's a couple other teams that I think are more disappointing. I think when you look at the Chris Sale to the Braves trade, you kind of look at the Red Sox like, what the hell are you doing? I mean, Sale's washed, but you're going to pay all that and got kind of average for him. The Yankees, really, outside of Soto, haven't really done much, and they got a lot of problems. The Cubs are still quiet, although they are leaders for Bellinger, and I really like the nucleus of that team. I think the winner of this answer is the San Francisco Giants, and I think this has been building for years. They dodged a bullet in not getting Carlos Correa, but they missed on Judge, they missed on Ohtani, they missed on Yamamoto, they've missed on everybody. And that is a storied franchise in a city that loves baseball. And all they've got for it over the last 3 years is Jung-Hoo Lee, who might be great, and I'm excited to watch him in baseball, but that's it. That's what you've got. Not Aaron Judge, not Chris Bryant, not Shohei, not Correa, not Yum. It's a lot of this is who you didn't get, and there is no who you got. Outside of Jung-Hoo Lee and the kid, the catcher kid, and Logan Webb, I don't know what that team has to offer. You fire Gabe Kapler. You're moving along. You got Bob Melvin, who I love.
Locker room would be better.
But I think the Giants, honestly, from a large standpoint, are sad. And honestly, the Cardinals are pretty terrible too. That could be that too. Although their starters have bumped. I'll say the Giants. The Mariners are sad, but that rotation is still pretty damn sexy.
It's a good point.
And you got Julio.
It's a good point with the Giants, who were adamant about landing a big name.
That's all they want.
offseason.
They want a big guy, and they can't get it.
Again, there's still names out there, so get
Bellinger.
Yet to be seen, but
I love Cody back in the NL West.
I will end my point with this because that was the last fair foul I have for you. The Mariners rebuffed the Tampa Bay Rays by asking them to wait because they wanted to trade Randy Arozarena to the Mariners. But the Mariners at the time, this was in October, could not afford that deal. Yeah. That is how sad this team is right now.
Mm-hmm. All right, that is fair or foul. Thanks, Schultz. We do it every single Wednesday at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. When we come back, we'll wrap this bad boy up. Hot Corner, Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan.
Time is money. At least we understand that
All right, we'll be back next week from 7 to 9 as this will be our home leading up to spring training. You know, Joe, we're only a couple weeks away from previews.
And I was seeing on Twitter roster resource being referenced. And look at this team, and
People
I'm like,
are
dude,
talking.
we're getting there. I don't know.
Hall of Fame votes are coming in too, so we'll have to start talking about that.
That too was starting to get me all worked up. What is the pitcher and catcher? I know that's in February.
Yeah, early February will be pitchers and catchers.
Usually right around my birthday, like the week before, which is February 18th.
Yeah, we're going to have to have a conversation.
February 13th, 14th.
We're going to have conversations leading up because Gary Sheffield is trending into the Hall of Fame, and Jesus. What? Jesus Cristo, do not do that to me.
Wait. Is it because he's more... I've had this take for a long time.
I know. Steroids are steroids.
Well, no. He's a nicer guy than Barry Bonds, than Roger Clemens. And I firmly believe, like, eventually Mark McGwire, because this is not a white-black thing. This is nice person versus D-bag. I do believe Mark McGwire eventually...
I don't think anybody mentioned white versus black.
No. There's history there because if you go and you read Game of Shadows, Barry Bonds, one of the reasons he allegedly took steroids was because he was so jealous of all the attention Mark McGwire was getting.
And Sammy Sosa.
And the fact that he was white.
Guy.
No, but the fact that Mark McGwire was white also got into Barry Bonds' head a little bit and, really upset him. But, God, I can't even remember what I was saying.
Yeah, so Hall of Fame votes are trending, so we'll have to check in on that.
Sheffield's a nice guy.
Plus, we're still waiting on some big free agents. We mentioned earlier Cody Bellinger and Blake Snell. You know, there's still a lot of guys out there to be signed that could definitely improve some rosters. Plus, we'll keep an eye on whatever the Mariners think they're going to do.
I do think that not only is the steroids problem a problem for Barry Bonds getting to the Hall of Fame. Yeah, I think he is a colossal douchebag.
Just being a jerk.
And I don't think anybody wants to hear him up on that stage.
Look, man, Omar Vizquel
about how he was nobody believed in me.
Omar Vizquel is the greatest defensive shortstop in the history of baseball, but he smacked around some women and he's not getting in.
No. And apparently asked a bat boy to do some very unsavory.
Robbie Alomar is the best second baseman of all time and spit in an umpire's face, and it cost him first ballot. Now, he eventually got in, but he didn't smack women around.
Yeah, it's a shame that the good guys like Kurt Schilling can't get in.
That's what I'm screaming every day, dude.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, see, he's a D-bag.
Dude, Kurt Schilling,
I mean, what was the worst thing he ever did? Open a defunct video game company?
Dude, great financial guy. Like his stock market portfolio, dude.
He bankrupted an entire state.
Oh, I know. I'm quite familiar that Kurt Schilling is a terrible human being.
Yeah, so we'll have some Hall of Fame ballots that we need to check on.
Aubrey Huff getting dunked on.
Aubrey Huff getting dunked on.
We won't talk about it, but I don't know if you saw that on Twitter.
I saw it.
Dear God, that was great.
Well, see, the best thing about not being on Twitter, I'll share this with you guys as we get out of here. The best thing about not being on Twitter is I learn what happens on Twitter after it's all unfolded.
Yeah.
So I don't jump to conclusions. I don't assume anything. I just kind of wait. And then when it's done, y'all tell me what's going on.
Dude,
Jimmy Kimmel's going to sue Aaron Rodgers. That's great.
It's quite possible. But
I just sit here and watch.
I think that's one of those keep it up, bud, and I'll sue you moments. But God, the Aubrey Huff thing, that was a great way to start the new year.
Well, you know what? You got to be careful with that latent homosexuality. You know, some people just don't. Some people are a little scared to be found out that what they dig isn't what people think they dig. And I am one to say, yo, baby, you dig what you dig. You want to get into that, baby? You get into that, baby.
I don't know if you saw what happened with Aubrey Huff.
Well, yeah, you want to talk about it over some cocktails and make some bad decisions?
Okay. You definitely heard about
it. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, dude. That leads only when you're talking to a dude about getting drunk and making bad decisions. I got plenty of friends that like to get drunk and make bad decisions.
No, it was with a chick.
It was with a chick. Yeah,
See, you didn't get the whole story.
Oh, all right. Well, now I'm really
Now
intrigued.
I know what to tell you.
Now I'm really intrigued. Is this like an Epstein thing here or what?
Oh, no.
All right.
Just, he's a douche.
All right.
But we already knew that.
What happens to white baseball players? Shocking. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next week at 7 o'clock for Joe Fisher, Jordan Schultz on the ones and twos. I'm Patrick Harris. Go do something I would do.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 15% on select Sanctuary by Green Fiber blown-in insulation when you buy 30 or more. And there's more. Save 10% on select OSB sheathing when you buy 68 or more. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you